Hello everyone, welcome to the Mercury Virtual. Hope you are doing good. Today I am going to continue with your same module, that is the research skills, at the new chapter, that is the chapter number 5, that is before the research. In the last class we have finished with the chapter number 4, that is what are the various curriculum links that is available in this research skills, what are the various links that is used for the curriculum content. So let's start with the previous class session, what we have covered in the last class, then moves to the today's topic, that is chapter number 5. So first question that we have discussed, that is this chapter useful to me? This is the question that is asked. So teacher who would like to know more about the research skills as an integral part of most program of study should read this chapter. So it is from the teacher point of view who want to study the more links, who want to study the more about the research skill, how the research skill will be developed. The teachers must be presented, or teachers must use these skills or research skill as an integral part of most of the program of study. Then what will I find in this chapter? So a listing of some of the references to research skills found in the program of study at the various grade levels. So there are various grade level that is occupied, that is carried out, that is taken place between the various research skills that is found in the various programs of the study at all the grade levels. So we have discussed about the different levels of the study in the research skills. So first is the elementary program of study. So there are many reference sources for the skill development, and only a few of these references include the example, and these references may be used by the school as a starting point for developing their own research skill curriculum or continuum. That is, what are their research skill and how they are using the research skill continuum. So first is the elementary program of study, that includes the social studies first of all. So these are the various explanations that the student will acquire. So the student will locate the information using the library skills to choose the appropriate resources for the research. That is, what are the various appropriate resources that is used for the research that require the various skills. Then next is organize the information on a topic using a simple outline, webbing, retrieval chart, etc. So how to outline the content, or how to organize the information on any topic, that is used with a simple concept, that is used with a simple outline, webbing, retrieval chart, etc. The next is the in a final written product that is used with the social studies, apply the skills of revising and editing by considering the content, organization, vocabulary, sentence structure, and the mechanics of the writing. That is, whenever the final result is occupied, so there is a concept for revising and editing by considering the various content, organization, vocabulary, sentence structure, and the mechanics of the writing. And also uses a computer database to collect and organize the information. That is, use the computer most of the content time to use the database structures. Then in the science also, the student will appreciate the importance of collecting and organizing the data. That is, how to collect and how to organize the data. Then compare the alternative energy sources that is used. For example, the solar, wind, and nuclear energy that is carried out, that is also part of the science. And gather, organize, and interpret the data, and interpret the effects of the use on the environment. That is, what is the main use of the environment on the environment, that is the part of the science. The next is understand the development at the time of printing, spring 1990. At the time of the printing, the information will be also be used, that is a proposed framework, that is a learning model in which the student will explore, construct, and the communicate. So these are the language art, that is the English, that is how to use the English language art, that is how to use the English as a subject. Then in the mathematics, identify the needed information, that is what are the various needed information that is required to solve the problem or carried out problem, that is identify the needed information. Then identify the relationships, then ask the question. This is the category of the math, that is a category of the elementary program of study. Then we have studied about the junior high program of study. In these there are multiple parts. The first is the language arts 1987. In this there is a evaluation, there is a part of locating, selecting, and evaluating the information. Then listening is an active process. That means listening is an active process, not an passive process. That is, we can listen, we can interpret, we can gain the knowledge from the listening, that is we can inform the knowledge from the listening. So listening is an active process that involves constructing the meaning. It's not an passive process, it's an active process. Then visual communication processes the distinctive elements in the structure that may also affect the meaning. Then effective editing involves revision for the purpose of evaluating the idea, that is how to evaluate the ideas and how to shape the competitions. Then student should be able to evaluate the contribution to the group process, that is how to evaluate the contribute, or how to evaluate or how to contribute to the group process, that the student will be able to contribute to the group processes, that is a part of the language arts, that is the junior high program of study. Then next is the social studies 1989. In this, the student will be asked to observe the courtesy of the GD, that is observe the courtesy of the group discussion, acquire the information, identify and define the topic that is used with the possible sources and the location of information, that is the process skills. Then compare the information about a topic drawn from two or more sources, that is the social studies 1989, and also categorize the information to develop the concepts, that is also a part of the process skills. The next is the grade 7 science 1989. So an overall strategy for the decision making includes the skill of researching the perspectives, organizing and processing the information and the evaluating. So that is a overall strategy is used for the decision making in the science, that includes the skill for researching the activities, that is how to research the various perspectives, how to organize the content, how to process the information, and how to evaluate the content. That is the grade 7 science 1989. The next is the senior higher program of study. So we have studied about the elementary program of study, junior higher program of study. Then next is the senior higher program of studies. That is a part of the 11th, 12th, or we can say the 10th, 11th, 12th classes. That is the senior higher program of study. That is the 11th, 12th class. So locating, selecting, and evaluating the written material. So first of all, locate, select, and evaluate the written material that is used, frequently required to fulfill one's purpose in reading, are the most important life skill, that is the language arts. Then the same points, that the listening is an active process, not an passive process. So listening is an active process that is carried out, it's not an passive process. An effective reader is able to select and use a variety of reading strategies appropriate to this purpose. So that is the appropriate purposes that is carried out for the reading strategy that is used in this purpose. That is also a part of the English category, that is the language arts 1982. Then effective revision involves careful evaluation of the ideas and a further shaping of the competitions. That is the language art, that is also the category of the English, that is the language arts 1982. Then next is the home economics. The student will develop the skills and the techniques in the personal decision making and interpersonal relationship. That is how to make the interpersonal relationship, that is how to make the economics, or how to use the economics, or how to get the economics information. So in this, the student will get the personal making or personal decision making and the interpersonal relationship. Then in the science, there is a questioning, proposing the ideas, gathering the data, processing the data, and interpreting the data are all components of the process skills. Then a student will also be expected to demonstrate an ability to classify existing information by examining parts and the relationship, and to identify and differentiate the component. That is, what are the various components that is used to differentiate. That is a part of the science also, to demonstrate an ability to classify the existing information by examining the parts and relationship, and to identify the distinguish components, attributes, claims, assumptions, or reasons by interpreting the data or information, judging the reliability or validity of the data or the information, identifying the errors, differentiate between the facts and the value, relevant and the irrelevant information, identifying the main ideas, identifying the attributes and the components, identifying the relationship and the patterns. So these are the categories of the science 1984. Then identifying the perspectives, detecting the bias and inconsistency in a line of the reasoning. Then art 1987, the student will analyze the personal responses to visual imaginary. That is art, that is drawing part. So next is the Alberta Education Program of Study. That is, what is the Alberta Program of Study, Education Program of Study. So in this there are multiple stages, and in for the multiple stages there are multiple subjects that is given. In the stage 1, that is the planning, the social science studies or social studies understand the question, problem, develop the research skills and the procedure. That is, what are the various question, or understand the question, what is the main question, what is the main problem, then develop the research questions and the procedure. That is, what are the various research questions and what are the various procedures question that is developed. That is stage number 1, that is the planning. And then in the science there is a term, that is identify the issues, identify the alternative. That is That is, what is the main issue, to identify the main issue, and what are the main alternative, that is identify the alternative that is used in this one, that is a science, that is covered in the science. Then mathematics, understand the problem, that is what is the main problem that is carried out. So understanding the problem, that is the stage number one, that is the planning. Then stage number two, that is the information retrieval. In the social science, it is used as a gather and the organize the information, that is how to gather and how to organize the information, that is gathering and organize the information. Then in the science, there is a research, that is the next part. And in the stage 3, that is the information processing, that is the stage number 3. In the social science, it is used as interpret the information, develop a conclusion or solution, synthesize the data. So this is the stage number 3, that is the information processing. In the social science, it is used as a interpret the information, that is how to interpret the information, then develop a conclusion, that what is the main conclusion or the solution, that is what is the main conclusion or what is the main output, and then synthesize the data, that is synthesize the data in an effective manner. So synthesize the data. And in the science, there is a reflect and the decide, that is for the science, the information processing must be reflect and the decide. Then in the mathematics, it is used to develop a plan. So for the mathematics, it is used to develop a plan using the numerical formula, that is developing a plan. Then stage number 4, that is the information processing. In the information processing, the social science convey the communicate effectively, that is how to communicate effectively and the efficiently. Then next is action taken or the taker action, then carry out the plan in the mathematics. Then in the same way, there is a stage 5, that is evaluation. In the social studies, evaluate the decision and the process, that is what is the main decision and how to process them. Then in the science, there is a evaluate, and in the last one, that is a mathematics, there is a look back, that is a look back is a method that is used with the mathematics, that is used with the evaluation method, that is how to evaluate the content, that is the evaluation methods. That is relating research into the 4 core academic curriculum. This is academic curriculum, that is a 1990 amendment, that is the first part. Then language arts under the development, that is spring 1990. Now comes to the chapter number 5, that is before the research, that is the teacher's preparation. So this chapter will be helpful in the teacher in preparing the content, as the name advice. So is this chapter useful to me? So teacher who are inexperienced in integrating the research activity into their curriculum will find this chapter useful in their planning. That means teacher who are inexperienced in integrating the research activity, that is what are the various research activity, or who are not practically experienced in integrating the research activity, that is what are the various research activity that is integrated into the various curriculum, will find this chapter useful in their planning. Now what will I find in this chapter, that is what will I find in this chapter. So how to plan a research activity, that is the main crux, or that is the main part of this chapter, that is how to plan a research activity. Guidelines and considerations for a research activity. So what are the various guidelines, what are the various considerations that is carried out for the research activities. Then next is a sample research activity unit plan, that is what is a sample research activity plan, or what is a sample research activity unit plan. So what will I find in this chapter, that is these are the 3 targets, these are the 3 main content that is used with this one. So how to plan a research plan, or how to plan a research activity, then guidelines and considerations for a research activity, then a sample research activity unit plan. These are the various outcomes of this chapter. This is one of the diagram that shows that they are analyzing the data, they are doing the research. So planning, this is the code that is given by the Ken Haycock. So planning is a way of caring because it minimizes the risk. So it is a way of the caring, that is how we care the planning, or how we care the content, that is it is a way of the caring because it minimizes the risk. And how do we link the pieces of the research skills puzzle together? So there is a careful planning and the judicious use of some key concepts, suggestions, and the form will bring this puzzle closer to the completion. That is how to make the research activities possible, or how to make the research activity puzzle together. So there will be a careful planning and the judicial use or key concept, suggestions, and the forms that will bring this puzzle closer to the competition. So there is a proper planning, there is a proper research activity that is carried out for the content that is carried out for the various research activities. So how do we link the content? How we do link the pieces of the resource skills puzzle together? So there is a careful planning and the use of the various concepts that must be taken care of. That must be taken care of the concepts, suggestions, and the forms that will bring the person closer to the completion. That will bring the person that is close to the completion. That is a part of the planning. So many teacher or many TLM, that is a many TLMs or TRMs, sorry, not TLM, this is a TRM, that is a teacher resource material. For example, contains the suggestions that do we tell with the stages of the research, that is what are the various stages that is used with the research, that is the teacher resource material or manuals. This chapter presents the ideas for planning research, that is how to plan the research, what are the various ways by which we can plan the research, and this chapter also presents the ideas for planning the research and a sampling of curriculum based suggestions, that is take the curriculum based suggestions, how to make them suggestions, and that suggestions will be taken out, that suggestion will be carried out in the content way. So this chapter presents the idea for planning the research and a sampling of for the curriculum based suggestions that will help to put the theory into the practice. That means putting the theory into the practice, that is how to put the theoretical concept into the. So that is sampling of the curriculum based suggestion, that is suggestion that will help to put the theory into the practical part, right? Then integrating the research into curriculum is also evolutionary. That is, whenever we integrate the research into various curriculum, that is also evolutionary part. And for teachers who are new to integrating research activities, it begins slowly. So whatever the teacher or whoever the teacher that is used to integrate the research activities, that begins the slowly. A teacher and the student experience a positive development in teaching methods and the skill. Their commitment to integrating research will increase. So whenever they find that there will be increment in the concept, there will be increment in the moods, that is the research skill, so their commitment to the will be increased. Now next question is, how do I work with the someone else to initiate the research? That is, how do I work with the someone else, how do I deal with the someone else, or I link with the someone else to initiate the research. The ideal situation for developing a research unit occurs when team teaching or cooperative planning occurs between the teacher librarian and teacher, or between the teachers. So but the proper situation will be carried out for developing a research unit that occurs. So to develop the research unit that occurs when a team teaching or the cooperative planning occurs between the teacher librarian and the teacher, or between the teacher, that is the ideal situation for developing the research unit. And the following description of the cooperative planning has been adapted from the social science grade for 6 TRMP 74 1989. So this is a concept, that is where do these items, where do this content will come. So this is the main crux, that is whenever I want to work with someone else to initiate the research that will be carried out with the cooperative planning, that will be carried out with the proper research unit, when the team member or cooperative planning occurs between the teacher librarian teacher, or the between the teachers, right? The next part is the cooperative planning, that is how to use the cooperative planning, or what is a cooperative planning. So it is a unit or the mini unit that involve a teacher and the teacher librarian, and use the library as a primary resource. That means the teacher and the teacher librarian get together at the place, that is the library, so that is used as a primary resource. And the first step is to set up the objective for the unit, that is what is the main objective for this unit, and what are the various activities that is carried out with the teacher librarian. So first of all, the main task is that what are the various objectives, what are the various objectives that is carried out, that is set out for the unit, and what are the various activities that is involved with the teacher librarian. So first is objective, then what are the various activities, right? And the use of the library skills should be integrated into the plan, and the extra resource person allows the variation in the group size. Example, the whole group, two teaching groups, small groups, etc. That is a cooperative planning. So the cooperative planning is a unit that involves the teacher librarian and both the student, that involves as a tool, or that uses the library as a primary resource. And the first step is to set out the objective for the unit, that is what is the main objective, why they are involving together, and what are the various plan, or they are planning the activities with the teacher librarian. The use of the library skills, So what are the various skills? That is use of the library skills should be integrated into the plan, that is covered into the plan. And the extra resource persons allows for the variation in the group skills. That is, what are the various group skills by which they are using the group content. For example, the whole group, the two teaching group, and the small group. So the use of the library skills should be integrated into the plan, and the extra resource persons also allow the variation into group sizes. For example, the whole group, large group, and so on. An example from the topic 4C in which the students is using are expected to learn about the similarities and the differences. That is, what are the various similarities and what are the various differences that is occupied between the algebra and the cubic, that shows some of the possibilities for the cooperative planning. That is, what are the various possibilities that is used with the cooperative planning. And student also get together in the group. So what are the various possibilities that is taken out in the cooperative planning? The first step is the student get together in groups and come up with a list of the similarities. That is, what are the various similarities and what are the various differences between the algebra and the cubic. And the teacher and the teacher librarian circulate to assist the student. That the teacher and the teacher librarian should be circulated to assist the student. That is, what are the various content that is assist the student. Then a class, the student come up with a composite list. So then as a class, the student come up with a list that is used. So in turn, that is grouped into different categories such as the geography, resources, occupations, leisure activities, language, and the custom. That is, what are the various activities that is carried out as a custom, that is carried out as a resource activity, that is used for the various student. The student also reproduce it in their notebooks. That is, what are the various representation tasks that is carried out in these activities. And the teacher and the teacher librarian, that is the team teaching, also explain to students that they will complete their task or they will complete their chart as they work through the fourth station. That is, what are the various four stations that is carried out now. These are the various activities that is carried out with the four stations. And the group of 3 to 4 students propose 2 stations where they gather the information for their chart. So there is a team that is made, that is a group of the 2 or more children, or 2 or more, or 3 or 5 to student, that is proposed or proceed to the station. That is, what are the various stations where they gather the information for their charts. The teacher and the teacher librarian circulate and help the student. That is, how to circulate the content and what are the various content that is used to circulate the various data. And there is this is the example. There is a viewing station, there is a listening station, there is a interviewing station, there is a reading station. So there are different stations that is divided, or the main task is divided into different stations. The first is the viewing station, then there is a listening stations, then there is an interviewing station and reading station. So in the viewing station, there is a pictures, then film staffs, video films. Then in the listening station, there is the audio tapes, then recorded interviews, then recorded stories or the articles. Then interviewing stations are the resource persons. So interviewing station means what are the various, who are the various resource persons that is available. Then there is a reading station, that is a reference books and the article from the magazine. So one is a viewing, that is viewing station means how to view the content, that is the picture, film streams, videos, and the films. Then listening station, that is how to listen, that is using the audio tapes, recorded interviews, recorded stories, or the articles. Right. Then next is the interviewing station, that also involves a resource person, reference books, article from the magazine. And next is the teacher and the teacher planning. So cooperative planning of a unit or mini unit with a colleague or a team of teachers should be approached in the same manner as with the teacher librarian. So when the teacher and the librarian, or when the teacher librarian is taking out the care of the unit or the mini unit, that is taken out with the various colleagues or a team of the teacher, that should be approached in the same manner as with the teacher librarian, that should expect 2 or more classes are now involved. That is, there is the involvement of the 2 or more classes that is involved, that is the teacher planning. In the team planning process, or in this teacher planning process or approach, each teacher brings some special talent that can be used. That means they are demonstrating the special talent that is getting out from the teacher. So in the team planning approach, each teacher brings a special talent that can be used. And the team approach also divides the labor and lighten the workload. That is, how to divide the labor and what are the various activities that is carried out to lighten the workload. And after this unit, so after making this approach, the planning is complete. So after making the loading capacities, after making the lighten the workload, after making the team planning approach, each teacher adapts a unit, that is what are the various unit that is taken out to needs to the student. That means first of all the teacher planning will be carried out, that the teacher must be proposed to get the take care of the various ideas, and the proper planning should be carried out. And after that the e-teacher demonstrate the concepts, and after that the e-teacher adapts the unit to the needs of the students. This is the one of the important picture that shows that the teacher will guide the student, that is how to make the concept. What if I am the alone? So teachers who are new to the integrated research are advised to focus on the teacher directed approach to implement the research activities. That is what are the various research activities that is implemented. So how to integrate the research into the various teacher directed approach to implement the research activities. And the research activity does not have to include all the stages and the concepts that is taken out to for this one. For example, a teacher can provide the information. So it's the responsibility of the teacher to provide the relevant information that is related to the planning stage to the students. That means how to plan out the something or how to plan out the activity. That is the responsibility of the teacher to tell the student. So it can provide the relative information related to the planning stage to the student, and then have a students practice the stage 2, that is the information retrieval skill of locating the resources. And this approach is an effective beginning to the research activities only if the skill is integrated with the classroom activities. Now, this approach that has been planning approach that has been advised to the student is successful only if the skill is integrated with the classroom activities. So if there is a classroom activity that is carried out, so that will be explained in a better way if the student will be directed as a teacher will guide. For example, if the teacher or the class is studying the dissonance, students should be asked or could be asked to locate the various types of resources that is carried out which are available in their school or the community. In this situation, the student must be given instructions, that is how to locate the different types of resources. That is what are the various types of resources that is carried out. In another class, the resources should be gathered or could be gathered ahead of time, and students should be or could be taught information processing skills or another aspect of the research continue. This is what if I am all alone. That is, if I am all alone, so integrate the resources, integrate with the student, provide the recorded lectures, provide the recorded scenarios, provide the recorded stories. So this is what I am if I am alone. Now I am hooked. How do I start? So curriculum objectives, student needs, resources and the research skills must all be considered when planning for the research. So that must be considered for the planning to the research. So whatever the need, whatever the research, whatever the resources that is carried out, that must be considered when planning for the research. So step 1 is the curriculum objectives, then step 2 is the student needs, then step 3 is the resources. That is what are the various resources that is occupied, that is carried out within the various steps. So step 1 is the curriculum objective. That what is the main curriculum objective, that is a step 1. What must I teach? That is a step 1. Step 2 is student needs. So what are their needs? What they need? If I am teaching anything, but you do not need that thing, there is a wastage of my energy, there is a wastage of your knowledge. So what must I teach? What is the curriculum objective? What is the syllabus? Then what do you need? That is what the student need, that is what are their needs. Then the step 3 is the resources, that is what resources are available. Like for example, I am teaching you, this is a course, that is a curriculum, that is an Edexcel course, that is a BTEC course, and it's your demand, that is student demand, that is that there is a provision of the Edexcel course that provided with the Edexcel course. Then what are the resources that is available? There is a computer, then there is a GoToMeeting software. So these are the various resources that is available. Then step number 4, that is the research skills. So what skills should I teach? What are the various skills that is required for the various steps? So what are the various skills that the teacher needed to teach to the student? Then implement. So this is the preparing for the research. That means first of all there is a step 1, that is the curriculum objective. Then there is a step 2, that is the students needs, what are their needs. Then step 3 is the resources, what are the various resources that is available. Then what are the various research skills, that is what skill should I teach. Then implementation, that is how to implement the concepts. And such steps that minor the research model and the stages have been proven to be successful when implement the introductory level to the research activities. These are the various activities that is carried out within the various scenarios. This activity or these activities I am going to tell you in the next class. So that's all for today's session. If there is any doubts, any suggestions, you can ask the doubts from me. So these are the various cooperative planning that is carried out between the concept, between the teacher librarian and the library concepts. And this is the main step that is carried out. The first step is taken from the curriculum objective, that is what is the main curriculum objective that is carried out. So what teacher must teach, what must I teach, that is step number 1, that is the curriculum objective. Then step 2 is the student need, that what is the need of the student. Then step 3 is the resources, that what are the various resources that is used. Then step number 4 is the research skill, that is what is the research skill or what are the various skills that is used for the research, that is step number 4. Then implementation, that is how to implement the concept or when to, or what are the various implementation techniques. So that's all for today's session. In the tomorrow's class I am taking your step by step scenario, that is how to preparing the research in the various stages.